in simply being, a magnetic force that most men completely overlook because they are too focused on doing, on impressing, on proving themselves through gestures, words, or validation. But presence is not about effort. It is about the energy you carry, the calm confidence that radiates from your very being. It is the way a man can walk into a room and immediately change the atmosphere without saying a single word, the subtle yet undeniable aura that makes her subconscious mind notice you before her conscious mind even registers your existence. It is not in your actions, but in the quiet dominance of your presence, the way you occupy space without trying to fill it with noise or unnecessary charm. Women are drawn to men who do not seek approval because their attention is already fully on themselves, their mission, their purpose. They are grounded, centered, and unshakable. And that grounded energy creates a magnetic field that pulls her in without force, without manipulation. It is the subtle glance that lingers a fraction longer, the confident posture that communicates security, the calm tone that makes chaos around her feel ordered. Men who rely on effort, who chase, who constantly try to prove their worth, are transparent in their insecurity. But presence over effort is invisible yet deeply felt. It is in how you listen with intention, how your focus is on the moment rather than the outcome, how you move through life with an internal rhythm that she cannot mimic. She senses it intuitively. The difference between a man who is available to anyone and everyone and a man whose life is full and abundant without her needing to create it for him. And this energy is magnetic because it communicates freedom, power, and self-possession. It is why women find themselves thinking about a man they barely know, why they remember his laughter, his calm intention, his unwavering stance in conversation. Presence is not measured by the length of time you spend trying to impress, or by the gifts you give, or the words you speak. It is measured by the feeling you leave behind, the impression your being creates in her subconscious, the sense that here is a man who is completely himself, unshakable, untouchable by outside validation, and that energy is intoxicating, irresistible. It commands attention without demanding it. It draws her in because she sees strength, stability, and independence all wrapped into one human presence. And when a man masters presence over effort, he no longer needs to convince her, chase her, or compete for her interest, because his very existence creates intrigue, desire, and attraction. And she finds herself gravitating toward him naturally, wanting to be near that calm certainty, wanting to experience the quiet power of a man who knows who he is and does not seek permission to be. The way he carries himself becomes a language she cannot resist, a silent communication of confidence and security that resonates on a level words cannot reach. Subtle mystery is one of the most powerful forces in attraction, a quiet, almost invisible energy that ignites curiosity in a woman's mind. It is not about playing games or being manipulative. It is about understanding the balance between revealing and withholding, showing just enough of yourself to create interest while leaving parts of your life, your thoughts, your desires, and even your emotions untouched, unexplored. It is in the pauses between words, the small glances, the confident smile that doesn't reveal everything but hints at depth. Women are naturally drawn to men who are not fully transparent because the unknown creates intrigue. The parts of you that she cannot fully predict or understand make her mind loop on questions, on possibilities, on what it would feel like to truly know you. A man who is fully open from the start can feel ordinary, predictable, and safe in a way that diminishes desire. Mystery, on the other hand, is magnetic. It is subtle in its execution. It is how you share your life in layers rather than dumping it all at once. It is how you hold back just enough so that she has to lean in, to pay attention, to wonder, to chase, but not in a needy or desperate way, rather because your presence, your energy, your self possession makes her want to explore the depth she senses but cannot fully access. Yet, subtle mystery is also in the way you respond to her, not revealing every thought, not over explaining, not seeking to justify. It is in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you bring. It is in the moments where she catches glimpses of vulnerability or passion but cannot fully predict when they will appear. That unpredictability creates a tension that is intoxicating. It is in the way you live your life, fully engaged, fully present in your own world, yet aware of hers, how you move between openness and guardedness in a natural rhythm that keeps her mentally invested, and even emotionally. The most magnetic men are not those who overshare, but those who keep parts of themselves sacred, unexplored, mysterious. It is in the stories you tell, the laughter you share, the deep conversations you have, layered with subtle hints of depth without revealing the full picture. Mystery is not manipulation, it is self respect, it is self possession. It is an energy that communicates value without stating it. It is why she thinks about you after a conversation, why she wants to know more, why she imagines scenarios and possibilities. It is why your presence lingers in her mind long after you have left. It is the unspoken pull that keeps her engaged, intrigued, and wanting to explore further. Subtle mystery turns ordinary encounters into memorable moments. It turns casual attention into emotional investment, and it builds a magnetic pull that is entirely natural, effortless, and deeply attractive. Emotional anchoring is one of the deepest forms of attraction, a subtle art that few men truly understand because it is not about grand gestures, constant attention, or overt validation. It is about creating moments and experiences where she feels understood, seen, and safe in your presence. It is the ability to connect with her emotions on a level that feels effortless yet profoundly impactful. And this connection is not about solving her problems or rescuing her, but about providing a stable energy that she can anchor herself to. When a man is emotionally anchored, he becomes a safe harbor in her chaotic world, the kind of man whose presence alone calms her racing thoughts, whose steady energy reassures her even when her emotions are turbulent. She doesn't even realize how much she craves it until she experiences it. It is in the way you respond to her vulnerability, with composed empathy, without judgment or unnecessary commentary. It is in the moments where you mirror her feelings subtly, acknowledge them, and yet remain grounded in your own center. Emotional anchoring is not about being her therapist or her emotional dumping ground. It is about creating a magnetic stability, a presence that she can rely on, a consistent energy that tells her without words that you are unwavering, unshakable, and fully yourself. And this stability is intoxicating because it contrasts with the uncertainty she feels in her everyday life. The men who overreact, who chase, who try to fix or control, create tension and anxiety. But the man who anchors emotionally absorbs the storm without losing his composure, and she feels drawn to him naturally. She wants to be near that energy, to experience it, to rely on it even unconsciously. Emotional anchoring also works through subtle cues, the calm tone in conversation, the consistent eye contact, the way you remain unbothered by drama, the way you acknowledge her emotions without being swept away. This creates a deep psychological and emotional pull that is unlike physical attraction or charm alone. It is layered, magnetic, and long lasting. Women feel safe sharing themselves with such a man, not because he demands it, but because his energy invites it. And the more she experiences this consistent anchoring, the more her mind begins to associate him with stability, security, and desire. She begins to crave his presence, to think of him when she is alone, to subconsciously anchor her own emotional state to him. This is why emotional anchoring is so powerful. It bypasses superficial attraction. It creates a bond that feels organic, inevitable, and deeply satisfying. It makes her feel both seen and challenged in the best way. It allows her to experience intimacy without dependency, and it builds an invisible thread of connection that she cannot resist, a pull that is magnetic, almost instinctual, and entirely natural. It is the energy that makes her linger in your presence, think of you long after you leave, and return again and again, because she has anchored herself to the stability, calm, and depth you provide. Scarcity and value are two of the most underestimated yet powerful forces in attraction, because most men believe that constant availability, attention, and effort will win a woman over. But the truth is, desire is not created through abundance. It is created through measured presence and the implicit understanding that your time, energy, and attention are not easily given. When a man demonstrates value through his life, his actions, and his energy, he communicates something far more magnetic than words ever could. Scarcity is not about ignoring her, playing games, or creating artificial distance. It is about living a life so full, so rich, and so aligned with your purpose that your attention is naturally selective. And when you do choose to give her a part of that energy, it feels significant. It feels rewarding. It feels like something she must earn rather than something that is freely handed to her. This is the core of scarcity and value. Your presence is valuable because it is not endless. It is a finite resource she wants to experience. Men who are constantly available, constantly seeking approval, and constantly giving without boundaries become invisible, predictable, and ordinary. But a man who cultivates a life full of purpose, passions, social connections, and self-respect communicates worth without needing to speak about it. Scarcity makes her pay attention. It heightens desire. It activates her curiosity, her imagination, her emotional investment. Value communicates itself in subtle ways, through the way you carry yourself, the way you manage your time, the way you prioritize your own growth, the way you respond to her requests and desires without bending over backward to please. Women are wired to sense energy, to perceive subtle cues of worth. And when a man demonstrates that he is not at her disposal, but that his life is abundant and full on its own, she begins to attach herself to him emotionally and mentally. She starts to wonder why she wants his attention so badly, why his presence feels magnetic, why he seems untouchable in a way that creates desire rather than comfort. Scarcity and value work hand in hand because value without scarcity is taken for granted, and scarcity without value is irritating or confusing. The combination of the two creates a gravitational pull that makes her think, reflect, and ultimately crave the connection on her own. It is not manipulation, it is self-respect and self-possession. It is understanding that your energy is precious and that it deserves to be recognized, appreciated, and earned. And when a man masters this dynamic, he no longer needs to chase, beg, or convince, because women are naturally drawn to what they perceive as high value and slightly unattainable. The subtle tension created by scarcity, combined with the quiet confidence of value, creates an invisible force that makes her want to invest emotionally, mentally, and even physically. And this pull is instinctive, natural, and powerful. It creates desire without effort, attraction without coercion, and a deep magnetic connection that she cannot resist. And she begins to prioritize being near that energy, thinking about it constantly and seeking more of it without even realizing why. Non-reactive power is one of the most magnetic traits a man can embody, a quality that women feel instinctively and cannot resist because it communicates an inner strength, stability, and unshakable confidence that goes far beyond words or superficial charm. It is the ability to remain composed, calm, and grounded in situations where others would lose control, become anxious, or react impulsively. A man who masters non reactive power understands that his emotional state is his own responsibility, that no outside event, comment, or behavior should dictate his energy. And this self possession is intoxicating because it signals security, reliability, and true masculine strength. Women are drawn to men who are steady, who do not crumble under pressure, who can navigate conflict without aggression or overexcitement, because they instinctively recognize that such a man can handle life and emotions without needing to manipulate, control, or demand validation. Non-reactive power is not passive. It is active mastery over one's inner world. It is the way a man can hold his ground without creating tension, respond without over-explaining, and communicate firmness without rigidity. It is the kind of energy that makes her feel safe, intrigued, and mentally engaged at the same time. She notices how you stay composed when drama arises, how you do not react to petty tests or emotional triggers, how your focus remains on what truly matters rather than being hijacked by temporary chaos. This creates an invisible magnetic pull because she begins to associate your presence with stability and strength. She feels a sense of calm when she is around you, a sense of admiration for your ability to remain in control, and a desire to lean into your energy without even realizing it. Non-reactive power also communicates that you are not easily swayed, that you have standards and boundaries, and that you are not at the mercy of fleeting emotions or external pressures. Women instinctively respect this because it signals authenticity, integrity, and independence. The more non-reactive a man is, the more he becomes a pillar in her mind, someone she unconsciously measures against, someone whose attention and presence are valued not because they are given freely, but because they are grounded in self-mastery. Non-reactive power allows a man to navigate attraction with grace. He can flirt, engage, and create tension without ever feeling insecure, without ever overcompensating, without ever needing to prove himself. And this creates a powerful paradox in her mind. He is both available and unattainable, calm yet deeply magnetic, grounded yet emotionally present. Women feel drawn to this energy because it triggers deep respect, fascination, and desire simultaneously. And it is precisely this non-reactive quality that makes her unable to resist, because in her subconscious, she knows that a man who cannot be shaken by trivialities or emotional manipulation possesses a depth, stability, and strength that she craves and seeks to connect with. The quiet power of a man who remains unshaken, composed, and fully himself in all circumstances becomes a force that pulls her attention, interest, and desire effortlessly. Magnetic confidence is not just about self-esteem or arrogance. It is an energy that radiates from a man who knows his worth and embodies it in every action, word, and gesture. It is the quiet assurance that comes from living authentically, from aligning thoughts, emotions, and actions in a way that communicates strength without needing validation. Women are instinctively drawn to men who carry themselves with this type of confidence because it signals security, self-possession, and reliability. It is not loud or forced. It is subtle yet undeniably powerful. It is in the way a man enters a room and immediately holds the space without trying to dominate it. in the way he speaks with clarity and conviction, in the calm steadiness of his body language, in the way he meets her gaze without hesitation or overcompensation. Magnetic confidence is also reflected in how he handles challenges, uncertainty, or rejection. He does not crumble, overreact, or seek approval. Instead, he responds with composure, thoughtfulness, and a quiet authority that makes her feel drawn to him. This type of confidence is irresistible because it communicates that he is not dependent on her or anyone else for validation. And yet, he is fully aware of her presence and can engage without losing himself or appearing desperate. Women sense when a man is internally grounded, when his confidence is authentic rather than performative. And this authenticity creates a deep subconscious attraction. Magnetic confidence is not about flaunting achievements or status. It is about embodying a state of self-assuredness that permeates interactions naturally. It is in the way he moves through social dynamics, handles tension, and expresses opinions without fear of judgment. It is in the consistency of his energy, the way he shows up fully for himself before showing up for others, and the way he sets boundaries without guilt. Confidence becomes magnetic when it is combined with presence, mystery, and emotional intelligence. She is drawn not just to what he says, but to how he makes her feel in his presence. The feeling of security, excitement, and curiosity all at once. It creates an invisible pull that she cannot resist. She wants to be near it, to experience it, to understand it, yet she cannot fully grasp it. And this tension heightens desire. Magnetic confidence also allows a man to navigate attraction effortlessly. He can flirt, tease, and engage without overthinking, without neediness, without trying to impress. And the effect is hypnotic. Women naturally feel a connection, a draw, an instinctive respect and fascination that keeps her thinking about him, seeking his attention, and wanting more of the energy he embodies. It is a rare combination of self-assurance, presence, emotional depth, and subtlety that creates this magnetic pull. And when a man fully embodies magnetic confidence, he becomes the type of man who commands attention without demanding it, draws desire without effort, and holds a woman's interest effortlessly because she senses on a deep level that here is a man fully himself, completely grounded and impossible to resist. When you bring all of these elements together, presence over effort, subtle mystery, emotional anchoring, scarcity and value, non-reactive power, and magnetic confidence, you create an energy that is impossible for a woman to resist. It is a combination of self-possession, emotional intelligence, and subtle mastery that communicates worth, depth, and authenticity in every interaction. She does not need to be convinced, persuaded, or manipulated because the pull she feels is natural, instinctive, and magnetic. It is the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to her emotions, the way you maintain your calm, the way you allow curiosity and desire to grow naturally. She is drawn not to what you say or do superficially, but to the energy you embody and the way it makes her feel. The man who masters these qualities becomes a presence she remembers, a force she craves, a standard she cannot ignore. And the beauty of this dynamic is that it is effortless, it is authentic, and it elevates both the man and the woman in ways that superficial tactics, chasing or trying to please, could never achieve. When you operate from this place, attraction becomes organic, desire becomes magnetic, and the connection she feels is deep, compelling, and long-lasting. And it all begins with you understanding that the most powerful form of attraction is not in actions, words, or gestures alone, but in the energy, the confidence, and the presence you bring into every interaction, the energy that makes her think, feel, and ultimately choose to be drawn to you naturally, repeatedly, and without resistance.